What's up, y'all? It's Dr. Mia and Joseph with Ageless Intimacy with Dr. Mia and Joseph. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you're having an amazing Sunday and you had a great weekend. And today we're going to get started and we're going to be talking a little bit about the 5 love languages. So let's get started. I'm going to let some people come on into the room. Joseph, you want to get started with the 5 love languages?
You said you're going to let some people come into the room.
They're in here. Come on.
What you doing?
I'm waiting on you to start.
Oh, okay. What's going on, everybody? All right, so today we're talking about the 5 love languages and 8 on Ageless Intimacy. And the 5 love languages are the
Physical touch,
gifts, acts of service, and
words of affirmation,
and quality time.
So we found that a great way to know what your love language is to take a little test. It's an app on your phone called Love Nudge. And with Love Nudge, it helps you to figure out what your love language is. And at the same time, it helps you to figure out what your partner's love language is. And then you can nudge your partner to remind them of your love language and to remind you of their love language so that you're all speaking to each other in the right love language. So when we think of love languages, I don't think of it as you only display one or two. I think everybody has to display all of them, but I feel more loved with words of affirmation, quality time, and acts of service compared to, and then physical touch, and then probably gifts would be my last thing on my list. But it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy, all of the love languages and feel loved by all of them. But mostly it's the words of affirmation and quality time. What's yours, Joseph?
I don't believe yours is words of affirmation, quality time. I think yours are words of affirmation and acts of service, then quality time.
Okay.
I don't know what mine are because I forgot.
I think yours was physical touch and it was acts of service for you too.
It was physical touch, but he was talking about the app though.
Love
Nudge, right? That has 33 questions that will allow you and your partner to take the quiz, and what it'll do is it'll give you a code and it'll send it to your partner, and then they can be able to log in, and as you guys take the quiz, it will tell your partner what your love language is. So
and tell you what your love language is.
Yeah, I mean, it'll tell you, of course. It'll tell you, of course, but it tells your partner, and the reason why it tells your partner what your love language is because so many times we tend to deal with each other and work with each other in your own love language, and really you're supposed to deal with your partner in love language. So it allows you to really cater to them in how they should be catered to and how they're going to listen, how they're going to feel, and how they can be enhanced in the relationship. If you're talking to them in your love language and you don't have the same love language, it's going to be a disconnect. The communication is not going to be good. And you're going to have a lot of, I'm not going to say beef, but it'll be a lot of misunderstandings, because you're not speaking in their love language. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, the reason for the love languages is just to make the relationship easier.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, when I understand what makes Joseph happy and he understands what makes me happy, and we both try to do that for each other, it just makes better for intimacy in general. And I do think that the love languages help to play a huge role in all the different forms of intimacy.
So the one thing you can't be is a self-centered person and try to love somebody in their own love language. And the reason why I say that is because you have to be intentional about loving that person in their love language. You have to be intentional about it. even if it's something you don't really like, you have to be intentional about it, because your love language might be something off the, totally opposite of theirs. If it's acts of service, if their love language acts of service, that's you doing things for them, not because they ask you, but because that's what they like.
And even physical touch, for example, for us, because physical touch wasn't a big one of my love languages. It's towards the end of mine. And for Joseph, it is in his top 3. So I have learned to be more affectionate and to touch him more, because I know that that's his love language, even though it wasn't my love language, and it took some work for me to be more affectionate and even pay attention to how affectionate I'm actually being. And I don't know how good of a job I'm doing at it, but I at least try, since I know that physical touch is one of his major love languages.
Let me see what mine is. I don't know.
Oh, you looking to see?
Yeah, I'm looking to see, because I don't really remember.
Yours was acts of service.
No, it's not acts of service. I know that. But as we were saying, so yeah, when you talk about love languages, it's really important, and that's part of communication too, because it helps you communicate if you're already talking to the person in that language, or you're already dealing with them in that language. If your daily activity and your daily interaction with that person is around that language, love language, and love language is not always how you talk and how you're speaking to a person. It's also what are you doing, around that person, or for that person, or around that person, so it's not always fun, because it might be something you don't like to do. That's just to be honest with you. Acts of service, a person can get on your nerves with acts of service if they always asking you to do something for them, but but it can get on your nerves. So it's not.
Are you giving it to me?
I mean, you're always asking me to do something.
Really?
Always.
I had noticed that.
Well, you and the rest of the world. The rest of the world notice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, you're the only person that don't notice, because you're always the person asking.
Well, anyway, I guess that's just my love language.
Yeah. I mean, but again, you can't support your own love language. You have to let the other person do it for you. Otherwise, they ain't gonna want to do it.
Then you probably don't have to ask if they're doing it.
Well, you shouldn't have to ask. I mean, we ain't even gonna go down that road, because she's gonna be mad at me. So we ain't even gonna start that right now.
But I mean, my point is that that's just a part of your personality. So if your love language is acts of service, then yeah, you are probably going to tend to ask your partner to do more things for you, like pass you some water or something that's not that big of a deal, because that's how you feel love, and you don't even realize that you're doing it. But I think the biggest mistake I made initially with love languages is that I realized that I was loving you in my love language. So I would give you words of affirmation and tell you how much I appreciated you all the time. And a lot of times that didn't even matter to you, because that's not really your love language.
Right. So it looks like my love language is words of affirmation, though.
We should probably take the quiz again.
Yeah, we probably should. It's been a while.
2 or 3 years ago, and really
before that,
things
during
changed.
COVID.
Yeah,
we did it during COVID.
We sure did. Yeah. So that was like 3 or 4 years ago. So we should.
But see, I gotta have a lot of mine is physical touch and words of affirmation is exactly the same. So I think physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, and so see, mine are almost all about the same.
Yeah.
And this is the app. I don't know if you guys can see it. That's the app. It's called Love Nudge. But yeah, so that's the mistake you don't want to make, is to, unless you have the same love language. Like, I think words of affirmation are the same for both of us. So unless you have the same love language, then
you have to be cognizant of how you love in your partner.
Right. Because if you're talking to them in your love language and they're not getting it at all, and you just not like, I'm trying to do this and I keep telling them that I love them and they're great and all that, and their love language is not words of affirmation, that means that is not getting to them. If their love language is gifts and you keep telling them you love them and they're great. They don't care nothing about that. What they care about are gifts, you know, and the gifts don't mean like shiny, you know, bling things. Gifts is cards, you know, and flowers and, you know, just things like that. So you have to be cognizant of how you're communicating with your partner when it comes to the love languages.
And I think communicating in the right love language with your partner is going to improve your emotional intimacy. And I think it'll improve the intimacy components to improve the everlasting physical intimacy as well. So I think, you know, just in dealing with relationships and long-term relationships, I think one way to make sure that your partner is feeling loved is to understand what their love language is, and then make sure you are focused on showing them their love language on a regular basis, because you know that's what makes them happy.
And the love language, and when we say language, we're not really talking about words per se. We're talking about feelings. How a person feels. If they're, you know, it's not what you say when you give a gift, it's how they feel when they receive the gift. It's not what you say in words of affirmation, is how the person feels. Right. You know, with the words of affirmation. You know, physical touch is not, you know, that is
sex necessary.
Yeah, sex or, you know, necessary, but it's how the person feels when they just get a hug, you know, because some people are huggers, you know, and they love to be hugged. You know, it's weird when Mia touches me like that because she ain't.
But see,
she's not affectionate at all. It's weird.
So I have to work on being affectionate.
You know, but so it's about how a person feels. So necessarily not what you're saying, is how you're making them feel. That's why words of affirmation, physical touch, gifts, those things don't necessarily mean physical things.
Right.
You know, it's about how the person feels. And the one thing we've learned over the years is you can, you know, a person's thoughts can be altered, but their feelings are real. So whatever you make a person feel, it's a real feeling, whether it was intentional or not. Right. It's a real feeling. Now you can go back and say, hey, that's not how I was trying to make you feel. Maybe that came out wrong. Maybe I did that wrong. Maybe no, that's not what I was trying to do. Because then you can change the person's thought by explaining why they feel that way, and they shouldn't, if they shouldn't, you know, but if they feel that, that's a real feeling. So a person's thoughts can be altered, but the feelings are real, you know. So you have to be careful about what you're doing, because love languages provoke feelings. You know, so.
And hopefully good feelings.
Good feelings. Yeah, that's what it's called, love languages. So, you know, and we want it to lead to, because this is ageless intimacy. And we want it all to lead to some type of intimacy. And it should. It all works hand in hand. And you know, you have your 5 love languages, and then you have 5 different types of emotion or intimacy.
Right.
You know, and they all work hand in hand. You have your emotions, spiritual, physical, recreational, and intellectual, and they all work hand in hand. You know, so.
And I think that the biggest thing is that the communication is so important. At the end of the day, it all goes back to communication and being able to explain to your partner what you like, what makes you happy, what makes you feel loved, or if it's somebody's doing something and it doesn't make you feel loved, being able to say that and being able to communicate that to your partner, because they may not have the intention of you not feeling love, but that may be the way that it comes off. But they're not going to know they're making you feel a certain way unless you tell them. So focusing on the love languages, making sure you understand your partner's love language, making sure you're really putting some real effort and time and energy into loving them the way that they're going to feel love. And then also making sure you both are focusing on all the different forms of intimacy that you need to share on a regular basis, so that you can always have that great physical intimacy. And that's built upon through the emotional and the spiritual and the intellectual and the recreational intimacy.
Right. And it has to be intentional.
Yes.
It has to be intentional, because the truth of the matter is, to love somebody is intentional.
Right.
You know, you can like everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You can like everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but you ain't gonna love everybody,
right?
And you can love some people and not like them either, like your children.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm just gonna throw that out there. Your children, you're sharing.
Sometimes you always love them,
I always love your
sometimes you may
children,
not
but
like
sometimes you be like, I don't like this person, So, but yeah, so you have to be intentional about it, and it goes all the 5 communications, 5 different um, intimacies, 5 love language. They all work together, and you have to be intentional about each one. The communication is a growth.
Mm-hmm.
When you're dealing with your communications and growth, we always talk about level 3, 4, and 5 communication. We always want to be on level 4 or 5, but that's about growth. And the only way you get through that growth is to understand your love languages, be intentional about your love languages to the other person, to the other person, be intentional on their love language, and vice versa. And also having the different type of intimacies, if it's all about just physical intimacy, then, what type of relationship is it? Is that a real relationship? And it may be, some people have intimacy, physical intimate relationships only. That's your preference. But if you're in a relationship, all those intimacies fall in place. You have to be able to recognize them. You have to be recognized when you learn together. If you enjoy learning together, you have to recognize when you're hanging out together. That's recreational intimacy. You got to. Sometimes it's just in the house, but sometimes you sit in the house and be like, let's go get a drink or let's go get something to eat, something like that. That's recreational.
Or let's
intimacy.
lay up together and watch a show together. And, laugh about it and talk about it. Oh, I hear it. But the other thing I was gonna say too is I like a quote that Maya Angelou always says is that people forget what you do for them, but they don't forget something like that. They don't forget how you make them feel. And I think that's so important in your relationship to like really pay attention to that, because me and Joseph have very different personalities. You know what I mean? And he can be very like direct and assertive, and for some people it may seem aggressive almost, but it's not. But I understand him. But when he did speak to me in such a way that it made me feel a certain way, I had to communicate that to him, understanding that he wasn't intentionally trying to talk down to me or maliciously hurt my feelings, but it didn't mean that it didn't. But in order for him to know that and understand, I had to explain it to him in that way. Not like what you're doing and when you do this, it's like when you talk to me this way, this is how it really makes me feel. And then it made me think like, why do I feel that way? Well, a lot of it had to do with the way that my dad talked to people. You know what I mean? So going back to like your previous experiences, what your triggers are and why certain situations make you feel a certain way. You still got to do that whole self-reflection, understanding yourself, understanding your past experiences, and then use that emotional intimacy so that you and your partner can communicate those things and y'all have better understandings of how different scenarios and different things that you do make the other person feel, because we always want to make our partner feel good. It should be a safe haven where you can always come to me for me to make you feel good, not for me to make you feel bad in any kind of way.
And by the way, we don't have different personalities, because Mia is very direct and assertive as well. And it could be taken as disrespectful. The only difference is I don't pay attention to it.
And my heart, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely not. But, it could be taken as disrespectful.
And I would say initially when we, first started dating.
Oh, you was real disrespectful.
And you were too, but you know what I'm saying? We had to learn how to talk to each other.
Not at all. I was not disrespectful. It was more of, young lady, I am a whole man. You probably want to check yourself. It was a whole lot of that. And we got witnesses. We can bull some up. You want me to go get some? Because I'm sure I can get some of your friends on here. They'll tell the real story.
Well, I wasn't talking about way back.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying.
Like more when
what I'm saying is, while she talking about how I talk, she could be real disrespectful in 2024.
No, I am not disrespectful.
I'm gonna point it out to you.
Okay, point it out. Yeah, you should have been pointing it out.
I'm gonna start recording you and putting you on Facebook.
Please do.
I see. This is the disrespect.
I never intentionally.
But no, what we're saying is, feelings are real.
Yeah.
And you have to be careful about what you're saying. But that's when communication comes in, because if that's not your intentions, then you need to say, that was not my intentions, This is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
That's communication.
Right.
That's
and remembering that communication is not just the verbal, but it's also the, how you respond to people, your body language, your tone.
Mhm.
It's so many different parts of communication that we all have to pay close attention to make sure we're not offending the other person. And then, telling the person what you like and what you don't like is going to take a lot of the misunderstanding away in general. So at the end of the day, learn your love language, understand your partner's love language. Y'all need to communicate about it. Get to that 5th level where you can have the difficult conversations, making sure that you're focusing on all forms of intimacy and you're improving all levels of communication and speaking in the right love languages so that you feel loved, your partner feels loved, and your relationship can continue
download
to grow
Love
and
Nudge.
flourish.
Download Love Nudge because that will help you learn the other person's love language. A lot of times we're speaking to people in the wrong language. We're speaking of an our love language. We're giving gifts and they don't even want no gift.
And as a matter of fact, we're going to do our love nudge over and figure out what our love languages are now, because I think time has changed some things and it may be different from what I thought it was 3 or 4 years ago.
Is silence a love nudge, a love language?
No.
Nah.
Damn. Thank God.
Damn. Those silences on there, they need to put silence on the love languages. All right.
So thank y'all for watching Ageless Intimacy with Dr. Mia and Joseph. I hope y'all learned something about love languages, intimacy, and oneness for your relationship. And we will see y'all. When will we see y'all again?
After
We're doing
classic.
After classic, but this coming Saturday, I'm doing a webinar for breast cancer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And hormones. So make sure that y'all join me on Saturday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, I think it is.
Yep.
And you can, go on the website and you can go ahead and register so that you can join us for all this great information. And make sure you share the webinars. They're free right now, so you can share them with your friends to make sure that you are educating the people that you love. And it's Dr. Mia and Joseph. Go live well, age well, and experience everlasting intimacy. You want to do your tip?
I have a tip. Love the one you with.
Yep.
Deuces.
Bye.